G'day guys and gal. Nothing, I repeat nothing, is more ironic in the setting of Warhammer 40k than the Dark Age of technology. Does this 10,000 year period represent a time of superstition, religious dominance, and complete stagnation of technological and social progress? Of course not, you idiot. No, the Dark Age of technology was the golden age of mankind, in which they reached out to the stars, unlocked the secrets of the galaxy, and could shit on whoever's tits they pleased. The kind of stuff mankind was wiggling around during these 10,000 years makes Necron technology look like Play-Doh. Despite this, there are a few unfortunate mistakes and problems that resulted in the collapse of mankind's empire and 5,000 years of unconsensual sodomy, both metaphorically and physically. It's due to this age of strife that came after mankind's golden age that has led to people instead referring to it as the Dark Age. After all, if mankind hadn't gotten so advanced, then a few of the issues that killed a shitload of them wouldn't have occurred. It's because of the Dark Age of technology that mankind in the current setting is extremely hesitant and even downright hostile towards the idea of invention or innovation. You know, unless your name is Belsarius Call. Out of all the technological wonders that were produced during this incredible era of invention and innovation, none were as awesome as the GMG blue light blocking glasses. If you're watching this video, which you know you are, then you're currently getting absolutely beamed in the eyeballs by blue light. The issue with blue light is that it tricks your brain into thinking it's daytime, so it stuffs around with your sleep in your eyes. Not idealio for the 8 hours of sleep we need every night. Fortunately, there is a stylish solution. And when I say stylish, I mean it. The pair I'm wearing, called the GMG Optimizer, is inspired by the Ray-Ban Clubmaster Sunnies, which cost nearly $300. So you're getting that $300 style whilst protecting your eyes for only $65 Australian. Judging by how weak our dollary dues are, you're getting them nearly for free. If you weren't already quivering in anticipation to slap that checkout button, GMG is doing a 40% off discount for the next 48 hours. Just click my link below to redeem. I personally get good use out of these because I spend half my time on my computer, YouTuber life, whoop, so I can personally affirm their effectiveness. Cheers to GMG for partnering up with me for this video. Today we'll go over what we know happened during the Dark Age of technology and what terrible things occurred that has left mankind in the mess it now finds itself. I want to note that there are a few random seemingly canon conflicts that have popped up regarding the Dark Age of technology, so we can also have a gander at those. Let's get into it. The Dark Age of technology, or the Golden Age of technology, crazy that the two terms interchangeable here, begun in the 15th millennium and lasted until the 25th millennium. Although Elon had already chucked up a few space colonies on the moon and Mars, it wasn't until the 15th millennium that mankind properly began to terraform and colonize our sol system. We had also begun to send out colony ships beyond our system to colonize other nearby systems. However, as the warp was not yet a thing, hence there was no warp travel, this took a really long time. The real explosion of mankind began in the 18th millennium, which is when we figured out how to make warp drives and tiptoe over hell in order to travel way faster. After a few horrific attempts at warp travel that ended very badly, mankind invented the Geller field, which is basically an anti-rape shield that prevented demons from hitching a ride on your ship during warp jumps. This presents us with our first canonical problem. See, old mate Gav decided that he would try and put some grimdark edginess in one of his recent Warhammer books, so he wrote explicitly that a Gellerfield was an unconscious psyker who was being low-key tortured in the bows of the ship that they were protecting. The issue with this is that psykers didn't really exist during the Dark Golden Age. There was like 5 of them, and they were all hanging out with the Emperor at the time, so there was no way humanity used psykers for their Gellerfields. Do your fucking research next time, Gav. Regardless, mankind now had the ability to travel faster than light, hence they really begun to colonize the galaxy now. This progress increased even further when the semi-psychic humans, called the Navigators, began to appear. A navigator is someone who has a third eye, which can see into the warp and accurately navigate its pathways, meaning warp jumps could now be significantly longer and faster. Whether or not the navigators were made using genetic modification or naturally occurred is not completely understood. Some people say that the Emperor helped create them, but those people also think that the Emperor cured their hemorrhoids, so you can't really trust them. With the entire galaxy at their fingertips, mankind began to encounter Xenos for the first time. Sure, there were some wars fought, but as mankind was not super racist at this point, as they hadn't yet endured the Age of Strife, so the majority of alien encounters ended with non-aggression pacts and occasionally even full-blown alliances. Can't blame them. If I was the diplomat that first encountered the Elder, I would be absolutely loving life. Big titty Elder girlfriends are a huge vibe. This also kind of brings us to our second canonical issue. The Elder Empire was at its peak as mankind's empire also hit its peak. Did the two galactic superpowers just ignore each other? Surely they both would have had controlled territory that the other one wanted. The Elder was said to be so powerful that any wars fought were fought by their machines, and mankind was said to be so powerful that any wars fought were also fought by their machines. So do mankind and the Elder just have hectic robot mecha wars with each other whilst they just kind of went off and did their own things? Why do Elder call humans primitives if humanity's empire was greater than theirs? It just seems odd that there's barely any references to each other despite both being superpowers. I would call it a canonical conflict. Just as it looked as if mankind couldn't get any more powerful, they did. They invented the STC database, which was basically a digital blueprint for all of their technology. With these blueprints, they could build the most advanced technology mankind had to offer on the furthest and most isolated planets. The STCs were like activating creative mode in Minecraft. Shit was OP. Humanity made STCs for everything. Tanks, knives, vehicles, vibrators. You think it, they got it. Now how STCs were transmitted around isn't entirely known. After all, thousands of planets all use the same STC, so it's not like they passed around a USB key. I would say that humanity had like an intergalactic internet and that they could just upload their STCs to. I think I've really driven home how OP humanity was, but let me provide a little more something. Terminator armor, the armor used by elite space marines to fight the horrors of the galaxy in the current setting. Yeah, that came from an STC which was used to make mining suits. That's right, some of the greatest armor mankind has in 40k was used to mine shit. Also, you know knights? Those mechas that have won countless battles for humanity? Yeah, well originally they were used to cut down trees and protect colonists from local fauna. During this time, mankind also had these mechanical worms that could devour space-time, nanobots that could strip worlds, and Dyson spheres. Orcs weren't even a thing at this time due to how unthreatening they were to humanity. Chaos didn't even make itself known at this time either, as I genuinely think it feared humanity's power. Like when Psychers first appeared around the 22nd millennium, none of them got possessed by demons or turned into warp portals. This was because either A, mankind's reliance and belief in science completely starved chaos of power, or B, chaos wanted to hide itself until a better time presented. And boy oh boy, would a better time present. As I mentioned before, mankind's use of various AI and robots to fight their wars and do their heavy lifting. They had the Men of Iron, Men of Stone, and Men of Gold. Now I've made a video about the Men of Iron, but to summarize, they were intelligent, independent robots that eventually turned on humanity and led a cybernetic uprising. The Men of Stone and Gold, who were either different types of robots or just different types of humans, along with various xeno-species, teamed up with humanity to fight the Men of Iron. Thousands of worlds were lost and countless people died. The galactic internet was disrupted and a shitload of STCs were lost. Mankind's obscene weapons of war would turn on itself, but eventually they emerged victorious at massive cost. It's not clear why the robots got naughty. Maybe they were sick of people trying to do weird fetish shit to them, or maybe chaos was able to infect their AI. Either way, the result is the same. No more AI for humanity and a severely depleted mankind. Why didn't mankind just recover, I hear you simple fuckers ask? Well, a lot of their society was based upon robots doing shit for them, and they no longer had robots. On top of that, most of their STCs were fragmented, corrupted, or straight up lost to them, so they couldn't just go back into creative mode. They could have recovered, except for the next issue. See, whilst mankind was fighting robots, the Elder were fucking, like, a lot, in a weird way. The Elder Empire had gotten so bored with how advanced they were that they decided to have galactic blood orgies for fun. Due to how psychic their race is, this began to form a new god in the warp, Slaanesh. As Slaanesh got closer to being born, the warp destabilized, making warp travel nearly impossible, and all the psychers that were originally seen as cool little wizards began to get possessed by demons and destroy whatever planet they were on. It was actually the more superstitious and conservative planets that fared the best, as they rounded up and culled their psycho populations. Hence now a depleted mankind with no robots, no warp travel, and very few STCs had to deal with demonic incursions. Not good. This 5,000 year shit show was referred to as the Age of Strife. Even humanity's homeworld of terror collapsed during this time, turning from the heart of the greatest civilization to a Mad Max parody. The only dudes that somewhat kept their shit together during this was Mars. Mars was able to get rid of their pesky demons and rogue AIs, at the cost of, their planet's biodiversity. As such, they began to create legions of titans and ships. Occasionally, there would be a lull in the warp storms, which would allow them to flee an expedition in the hopes that they could colonize a world and turn it into a forge world. Sometimes this just ended in the demons getting a crunchier meal than usual, but often these expeditions succeeded and a forge world was established. The warp storms were finally abated when Slaanesh was born, the moment of her birth sending a shockwave through the warp that blew away all the turbulence and disruption. Good guy Slaanesh. With warp travel now a thing again, it was once again mankind's time to rise, led by a golden man with some serious ambition. It's a bit funny when you realize that the Elder and mankind's fall happened within a span of 5,000 years of each other for entirely different reasons. It seems as if at the height of their power, both empires chose to completely ignore each other. The Elder may have helped put down the Men of Iron, but clearly they didn't put too much effort into it as they begun to blood orgy soon after. Also, the Dark Age of technology would have been a shitty time to be an orc. You see a human fleet arrive on your planet, you get ready for a good scrap. Oh wait, what's that? Nanobots are tearing you apart from the inside out and you can't even see them. Damn, dude. If you guys like this little dive in the Dark Age of technology, then let me know, and I'll jump into the Age of Strife or maybe the Unification Wars next. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. For only $1 per month, give you access to a boatload of Warhammer hentai. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more dark yet golden content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.